Hello, everybody. Happy May 19th, 2020. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show, where we talk all things talents in Connecticut. And on today's show, we're heading back to the NVL for a football coach, head football coach, 11 full seasons. His name, Mike Giampetruzzi of Holy Cross. Mike, thanks so much for being able to come on today.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. Again, I just want to thank you for what you've been doing for our coaches in our state. A lot of good buzz out there, and just again, thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
I really appreciate being able to have any coaches and players come on and any good publicity, I'll take it. But again, I do it for you guys. I do it for the players because I know this is a tough time, but also we just want sports in our life again. So I figure hopefully this could help.
Yeah, it does. I mean, like I said, there's been a lot of different topics and, just getting that buzz out there about our kids and our league. And it's just been a positive thing. So again, thank you and looking forward to being on here.
Now, let's talk about yourself before we get into the team and such. Just tell me about your coaching journey and what led you to Holy Cross.
Started in 1995. I went to Central Connecticut to play football and, lasted 2 weeks there. Had an injury, and it was not a good thing, but it just brought me back to Holy Cross. Our, athletic director now was the head coach, Jerry Chiliglio. So, I called him and said, what to do? What do you do? So he said, listen, I have an open spot. Why don't you come back and get into coaching? So I was able to do that, help me get transportation and, kind of just put me in the right path. And from that season on, I've been involved with the school and been involved with football. So really I credit to him for allowing a young kid to join his staff and have a pretty big role. I used to coach at defensive ends, and I was coaching running backs at the time, and just to get my feet wet in the coaching world. I knew it was always something I wanted to do. Didn't think it was going to happen that quick, but it just kind of worked out, and things kind of one step at a time. So it was assistant coach for a few years, and then you finish your degree, and then an opening starts up in the school, and you kind of find your way there. But always knew I wanted to get back to Holy Cross in some way.
Do you think that maybe you being injured, I don't want to say was a blessing in disguise, but they say, and I'm a big believer in everything happening for a reason. Do you think if you didn't get hurt that maybe this path would not have been what it is now?
Yeah, I mean, you don't know what have happened if you stayed and, you played for 4 or 5 years or, where you would have ended up afterwards. I knew coaching was always something I wanted to do. I've always been around it in the sense of, I helped out when I was in high school with the Waterbury Patriots. Did some service project with them years ago. So I got a taste of it early on with Pop Warner football. And then you just knew you wanted to do it. At some point, it would have probably worked out. I mean, I had such a good relationship with my high school coach, our athletic director at the time, Jim Cunningham, and, just our principal at the time, Tim McDonald. Like, all those guys just were friends to me. Obviously, they were mentors, but we grew up and became friends, and I always knew I had a chance to go back there if there was an opening. I would have liked to play. I tell you, it was not the easiest thing. At the 2 weeks into camp, you're ready to quit anyway. So a lot of our kids who think that college football is easy, it's not. So just one of those things that happened, and I was lucky to be in the right place, right time.
If high school is not considered big boy football, then college football is, except for the NFL, that's big boy football.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So I always tell our kids, I said, go and try to see all 3 levels in our state. Go and watch Division III, watch Division II, and then go watch UConn play and see what the level is. Go to Central Connecticut and watch those guys play. You get a real good taste of what big-time football is, all 3 phases, and there's not much difference in all 3 phases, so you really got to commit yourself if you want to play at the next level.
No, I agree with you 100%. I mean, we'll get into some players later on that have potential to play at the next level, so that'll be something we'll come back to. But, Coach, take me back into now your first season with Holy Cross as a head coach. I'm sure there had to be some adjustments, but it doesn't seem like there was a lot because you were already in the program, so you kind of already had your feet wet.
Yeah, coming off Mike Phelan, obviously won a championship in 2006. That was our first state title, and we had that culture was kind of already set, and we had great numbers at the time. I mean, we were carrying 110 kids in the program at that time, in a class double S school. So football was big. a high percentage of boys are playing football, and we had it rolling a little bit. And then obviously, seasons happen, kids graduate, you rebuild a little bit. We went, I think 2008, I think we were maybe 4-6, but we were like a couple games away from being 6-4, 7-3, we were right on that edge of turning it around. And then Mike decided to step down, and I was appointed the head coach. So we knew we had a good team coming back. So it was like just the right time, to kind of turn it around. Mm-hmm. And those kids were just a great group of kids. They worked really hard, and they had goals. And it was kind of, not that it was easy, but it was just more of kind of figuring out how to be a head coach. Mm-hmm. You were now the guy in charge, when before you were taking, orders and, kind of figuring out what to do. So it was a good transition. But, I mean, the kids were great. We had good numbers. All the coaches were there. It was really not like I had to go find a new staff. Everybody kind of knew their role. We changed a couple things and who was going to be on offense, who was going to do defense. But it was the same group of guys that we grew up with, So it was an easy transition, and we had a good year. I think we were 9-1 and, made the playoffs, and it was just one of those good years for us.
Yeah, one thing about Holy Cross and Sacred Heart, and I've noticed a lot of schools in Connecticut where the staffs, there's really not like interchangeable pieces. They're kind of all, and they've been there for such a long time that the transition is not as hard. And I would think, coming off a championship a couple of years before you were named head coach, did you feel like there was a lot of pressure, or was it kind of like, I know my role and I just got to go out and do it?
Yeah, never felt like there was any pressure. We just, it's never been that way. I think the one thing we've always balanced was we never really got into, I'm the head coach, or I'm the OC, I'm the DC. Mm-hmm. We kind of just, all worked together as a staff to get the best product on the field. And that was kind of always our philosophy. It was more of a team effort on the coaching staff rather than, this one person's going to, do it for us, or this side of the football is going to do this for us. So, I mean, obviously you have good years and bad years on both sides. A couple of years back, we were giving up a ton of points on defense, but we were scoring a lot of points, and same thing, we were real good on defense at times, and we didn't score many points. So I just think that when you have a staff that I've been lucky to have for going into going to be my 12th year, I really haven't had too much turnover, and guys know the situation at Holy Cross. They understand the players. They understand what I expect of them, and it's kind of an easy transition. So the pressure was really never there for me.
In your 11 full seasons, was there one year that you felt like maybe got away, where the record should have been better, but, the ball didn't go because of injuries or just didn't go your way? Is there one year in particular you could tell me about?
Yeah, I think 2017, we were a couple games short of being 9-1. I think, we lost a couple games within 6 points. I think we lost to St. Paul by 3. And then what was another close game that year? Derby, we lost right at the end of the game. We had an interception for a return from DeAndre Wallace, and then got called for pass interference, which was,
I remember that, not
even near the ball. So that would have put us at 9-1, because that was, we haven't beaten Wolcott going into the 2017 season, I think 2 or 3 years in a row. Mm-hmm. And we ended up beating them on Thanksgiving, and that was a big win for us to finish the season. But, those things are going to happen. And again, I kept saying, we're a young team at that point, and we just, hit that 7-3 mark, and, we stumbled the last couple years too. I think 7-3, 6-4, 7-3, we're right there. We lost some games that we shouldn't have lost,
And I hate to say it, but I hope I wasn't the jinx to you guys that year, because I started interning for ATR that year, and I was at those games. And so I remember St. Paul and I remember Derby, and I hope I wasn't the reason why, because that wasn't my plan.
Yeah, no, it wasn't you. That was just things didn't bounce our way, and that's sometimes that happens, and there were good teams. Players worked extremely hard. It was a great group of kids to be around. Just didn't go our way.
Wasn't it 2018 the year that you guys stopped Wolcott from getting to the playoffs? It was 2018, right?
2018, yeah, we beat them. I think it was 2018.
Because then 2019 was the other way around. You guys,
right? Yeah, they beat us last year, and so I think that's what it was.
Okay.
Or 2017? No, 2017 it was.
2017, okay.
I think they didn't get in because of that, but then they beat us the last 2 years, 2018, 2019.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it was 2017 that same year. But
You guys always between Wook and Holy Cross, there's always good battles for all sports, but for football
yeah.
mainly, they're always competitive.
Yeah, it's been a good rivalry. The last few years since I've been the head coach.
Mhm.
I know early on it was lopsided a little bit, but listen, their coaches do a great job. They're a great staff. Jay Pace was unbelievable. It's just they work hard. They're one town. They believe in the school. They believe in their program, and
Mhm.
they get it done. They got it done. They took it to us on Thanksgiving this year, and that they got a good program, good kids, man. They buy into it. So it's always going to be a tough game, and it's the end of the year. It's
Mhm.
always going to be throw the records out, no matter how good or bad each team is, and you just go and play.
I agree with you 100%. But let's not forget about some of the talent that you have. And I said on the air many times when we did your games, and even people that asked me like, who did I think was the most talented team? I thought Holy Cross had not just talent for last year, but also because it was so young. It was full of sophomores and juniors, and a
Yeah.
lot were coming back. One in particular that, and we'll talk about four. The first one, Thomas Leege.
Hmm.
He's special.
He is special. Never have I seen a kid since Isaiah Wright, who's actually going to be in the NFL right now,
Mhm.
who has come in as a freshman and has been able to play varsity football without missing a beat. And I just think that he comes in. He's a smart football player in a sense. He understands where to be. He understands X's and O's. He's a tough kid. I mean, he's out there grinding, whether it's in practice, in a game, and he just, like I said, he's a special talent. He makes plays, and he's always around the football. Offensively, you can get him the ball, you can
Mhm.
hand it to him, you can throw it to him, and he's going to make something happen. So, real lucky to have him. Excited for his future. Those are the type of kids where those are game changers. And he's one of those kids.
What makes him so unique too is that for a freshman, if I see it once, I'm like, okay, I know he can do it. But being able to play up to a high level is difficult. But for him, at least for every game that we saw, we did a bunch of games, ATR, we covered a lot of the Holy Cross games. He
Mhm.
was every single game, it was high level competition and pedal to the metal, man. It must have been great to be able to watch and coach.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to coach kids like that,
Mhm.
because you're trying to get the most out of them, but they're already giving you everything. So it's our job to make him a better player, and that's going to be the fun part in the next 3 years to really put his game to the next level. And with kids like that, you can open up and do a little bit more. So you can do more offensively. You can do some different things on defense. So it's exciting to have him in our program, and looking forward to his next 3 years.
And speaking of excitement, another name that I felt like I said at least 15 times a game, at least on the defensive side, Makai Wilson. I
Yep.
mean, he's another one that straight out balls,
Yeah,
tackles hard and everything.
Makai is just again, he's a sophomore, going to be a junior. He's a young kid. Again, it's just physically gifted. When you stand him next to other sophomores and some freshmen in high school, he looks like he's a senior already. And he's a good has a great work ethic. He's always in the gym, plays multiple sports, which is good for him. He does really well on the basketball court. So just again, it's a kid that is at that high level. He can handle a lot. He's a good student in school. He's going to be, recruited pretty highly, I would think. There's been already some talk of some schools coming in to look at him, and things have been in communication. So he's going to be a recruitable player to play at the next level. He just obviously has to get a little bit better at his game and his craft, which he will. And again, 2 years left for this kid to play in our program, so it's exciting to have him.
I have to admit, before I even get to the next two names, which I'm sure they're going to get a lot of attention too, I think Holy Cross may be the center of colleges because you're going to be in and out. Okay, X school, you come in. Okay, next school, come in. You're going to be like the bodyguard, allowing everybody to come in.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's what we're supposed to be doing. Our job is to get those kids who want to play at the next level to the next level, and I think
Mhm.
we've kind of always done a good job with that.
I agree.
Um, Obviously, being involved for a long time, you have the ability to meet a lot of the coaches, and you build those relationships with the college guys, and I think at the point now where they can trust my recommendation.
Mhm.
Where if I say that a kid can play at that level, or coach, can you evaluate this kid? We're going to be honest with each other, and I've never said anything to our students or our athletes that I didn't say to a college coach. So our kids know where they stand. My job is to find a school for them, and there is a school for all these guys to play. And the one thing, too, is if you look at the college players and you go back and look at how many Valley kids went to college and played, there's a good number of our Naugatuck Valley kids that play at the next level. So, I mean, all of our coaches are doing that in the league. They're always trying to get kids to the next level. And like I said, I'm excited for it. I hope that some of these, coaches come back around, and, it's a tough time right now to be in communication with them. But, we're going to find the right place for our kids to go.
And speaking of finding the right place, you got to help me with this evaluation of this kid. Drevin Yeldell, he's an athletic quarterback. I know his throwing improved over the season, but just tell me about him, because I feel like he's kind of like a ball of clay, that if you can mold him in one way that you want, he could be one of the highest level quarterbacks you've had in a while.
Yeah, I had the conversation with Dre about possibly moving him to wide receiver, and we had a great conversation about that. So I think he's kind of accepted that. And, now instead of trying to have to play with, having two kids playing in the same position, now we can have two of our better kids on the field at the same time. And I think allows us to use Dre also on defense, because when he was a younger player for us, he was in the secondary and he was able to play defense. So I'm excited about him getting more snaps in the game on both sides of the ball. So, again, I think it's a good move. It's something that's going to help him. And, he's a captain of our team. So, when we had that conversation, it was a good conversation. And, I think, we have that trust back and forth. And, he's embraced it. And, like I said, sky's the limit. I think he's done a really good job in school this year. Really turned around his academics and focused on school. Was a real contributor, obviously, in all our games last year. Contributed on the basketball team. So he's had a great year all around. And hopefully going into his senior year, he's going to be able to do the same, for football and basketball.
I can't say I'm surprised that he was so willing to change positions and looking for the betterment of the team, because for basketball, when the one game and this is a game I'll never forget, Akili Evans was out, so he ended up starting, and he was a monster against Crosby. I think he had like 15 rebounds. I think he had like 15, 17 points. And from then on out, his confidence was just up. And I said to my broadcast partner, I was like, during football season, this kid could play. Now, basketball, he finally got a chance and he showed. So to hear that he was so willing and in a mature way to change positions, looking for the betterment of the team, that only makes your job that much easier, because now you don't have to worry about someone who's maybe disgruntled. He's going to be in for the long haul for whatever position you choose for him to play.
No, exactly. And that's something where, it's not always an easy conversation. But when you look at somebody and you want to make sure that they're going to go in the right direction in their future, you hope he understands that in the next few months, and I think he has. I think he realizes that, because there has been some interest from colleges, so we just got to hopefully get to the season and, he can show his skills on that in that position. And I mean, I know he could play. He's going to be one of the best receivers in the league. There's no doubt about it. And that just gives us the ability to put two of our better players on offense, one on one side with Rashon Mitchell, and then, Drayvon on the other side. So I'm excited about that.
You mentioned Rashon Mitchell. Let's get to him right now. I've seen video of him. I've tagged you a couple times saying that this kid he's looking good, Coach. Just tell me about him.
Rashon's a hard worker in the classroom. He's, got a really good GPA. He just never stops working. He's just going to be that kid that puts in the time. And he turned his game around last year. He was a bigger, producer for us on offense last year. He really kind of had some big games for us. And I think it's going to just continue, and he's going to get better for this season. I mean, we expect big things out of him. I think I said that in the tag with you, expecting a big year out of him. And, he's done everything we've asked him to do. And I know he was looking forward to some camps and some stuff this summer. Hopefully, some of these things are going to be able to happen for him. But, I'm doing my best to put his information out there, and, the sky's the limit for him. I think he's going to be a very good player for us.
A testament to the program that has so much talent, but also to you, Coach, because you find a way to balance it, but you're also someone who you tell it like it is. And I think that goes to show that the team responds in a positive way. It really shows, Coach.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, no, I just try to be real open. It's kind of always been the way I've been with them. And, if sometimes it's hard to hear. It is. And, but sometimes, I think they'll realize that when things work out later on,
Especially too, I think they'll appreciate it after the fact because, like you talked about earlier, once you get to college, it's a different kind of football. And if you're not used to being coached a certain way, you're going to get coached hard in college, and
Right.
you got to find where you kind of sit in your alley.
Exactly.
But Coach, I really do appreciate you coming on. I have one more question to ask you.
Sure.
Where do you see, because let's say that there is football, and we'll both say that there is in 2020, where do you see Holy Cross coming in the 2020 fall season?
To be honest with you, I just hope we could take one game at a time and be at the top of the league. I've said this in the newspaper. I've said this on other social medias. The team to beat is Ansonia. They've always been that team. And I'd love to have an opportunity to play well. The last few years, we have not competed with them, and it's been blowouts. And, they're the team to beat, and, I just want to be at the top of the league and compete hard every single, play. That's what I want to be known for on our team, that we're not going to quit. We're going to play 48 minutes of football. And, I know you hear all these cliches and you hear about Nick Saban and you hear all these things, but they're all true. Don't worry about the big things. Take care of the little things. And then at the end of the game, it's either going to be a win or a loss, but are you going to be able to go into the locker room after and be happy with the win? I mean, sometimes you lose, but you can appreciate the way you played, and I just always believe that if you take care of the little things, we protect the football, we tackle, we block, then good things are going to happen, So I'm not big into saying where we're going to be. I don't believe in a lot of that. I just want to be at the top of the league, and then at the end of the season, when it's November and it's Thanksgiving and it's, hopefully postseason, you have a chance to go on or you're playing for something. Like last year, we played for something on Thanksgiving, but we didn't get it done, and we ended up eating Thanksgiving dinner at home and we didn't have practice the next day, So those are the things that, I hope our kids learned that, it can be over that quick, because you got to play every single game and every single snap as hard as you can because you got to earn it. And that was my big thing. I've always said this and asked my teams. I say these 5 words, and it's from Tom Coughlin with the Giants. You got to earn the right to win. So to me, you got to earn the right to win, and you got to earn all the credit that comes with that. So I want to be at the top of the league. That's where I hope our kids are going to want to be. And then whatever happens, happens. We'll see what happens at the end of the year.
We've talked about how much talent and the coaching staff and the camaraderie and everything that comes with Holy Cross football. And, it's always been a pleasure to be able to watch the Holy Cross games as myself. I'm sure, Bob Sagendorf and Steve Gessick would say the same thing that I'm saying, that watching Holy Cross football, always consistent, but you guys have always been class acts to us when we broadcast your games. And, I'll say it, and I'm sure they would agree with me, it's always a pleasure to be able to do your games and especially talk to you right now on my show.
Yeah, well, listen, anytime you guys want to do them, we love it. We love having you guys there. And, again, we appreciate all the coverage and what you guys do for high school sports and for our league. So anytime, you're more than welcome to come and do something on us.
That'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. But until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.